Two wind turbines were talking to each other in a field. One of them said to the other, "Do you like music?" And the other one said, "Yes, I'm a heavy metal fan." I took my buddy recently to see the world's biggest fan. It blew him away. So dumb. Alright, so super cold here still in Minneapolis, so I'm nice and bundled up. So we're going to install the fan now. And so we went for the MaxxFan, roof fan. We went with the white model. There's also a smoked model. And it comes with all these pieces. So that's the first thing we need is obviously the fan, which I just showed you. There's this fan receiving type of flange. This will actually be screwed to the roof, and then the fan sits on top of this. So there's that. And then it comes with this, or the decorative part for the inside. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Garnish ring is what they call it. So super cool name. But we'll have to deal with this later on. And then it comes with some hardware, some screws, some little connectors for the wiring. So we've got all the fan parts up here. Some other things that you're gonna need. The first step is to cut a 14-inch by 14-inch hole, square hole in the top of the roof. So what we're gonna need for that, tape measure, obviously, to measure that out. We use some painter's tape just to kind of tape out that square. So we make sure we got that all figured out. A Sharpie to make a line on the top of the van. And then a few other things that we need are a jigsaw. This is what I'm gonna use to cut. I found this on Marketplace for 50 bucks. It's a DeWalt. I tend to like DeWalt tools. I just have a lot of them, so I thought it was pretty cool. I found this for a pretty decent deal on Marketplace, got that used. So we'll see how it works. Haven't used it yet, so this will be the first go at it. Along with that, I went and got Jigsaw Blades. This set comes with a bunch of wood cutting blades of various types, but it also has two metal cutting blades in here, which is what I would like to use for this specific project. I'm also going to need some jigsaw blades. I have a jigsaw already, but it's from 1904, I think. And so I don't even know if I can find blades to fit it anymore. So I went and got this set because I know I'm gonna need some. The one thing you want to do for those of you who have never used a jigsaw before, is to, whatever jigsaw you get, whether you buy it new or on Marketplace, to go look at the manual and find out what type of shank it uses. So somewhere in that manual it's going to say there's going to be a section on switching the blade, right? And it'll tell you what the type of shank. I think there's U-shape, there's a universal shank, and then there's T-shank. There might be more, but this specific jigsaw needs a T-shank jigsaw blade. Others might fit it, but I went ahead and bought T-shank blades just so that I know that they would fit. The other thing I'm going to need is some drill bits. Drill bits that can drill through metal specifically. So I went and got this little kit of DeWalt drill bits. I'll put links to all the stuff that I got here down in the description. But these, I'm gonna need some drill bits. I have a big drill bit set that I got actually for my wedding from my father-in-law, and I use the crap out of it. So some of those I'm like, you know what? It's been almost a decade since I've had that drill bit kit, and so I figured I'd get some more universally used ones for lots of different materials. So I got those because I'm going to need to, what I like to do when I do jigsaws, because the jigsaw can't plunge in to the wood. So what you need to do is have some holes that are big enough to fit your jigsaw blade down in so that you can start cutting. So we'll use the drill bit, and I'll show you this, in the 4 corners, and then I can essentially just go from one corner, put the jigsaw blade down in, and go to the next corner, and then I have room to turn it, because I'm gonna have another hole in that corner, and I have room to turn the jigsaw and go back the other way. A couple other things that we, from the research that I was doing and the YouTube videos that I was watching, is this stuff. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Butyl Tape. So B-U-T-Y-L tape. If you just do a search on Amazon for it, I'll also put the link to this, as well as the fan on Amazon. And we'll use this around the perimeter of the hole. And this is a sealant that will actually seal this, kind of the inside of this receiving flange here. It'll seal that up for us so that we don't get water in there along that hole. Last thing, lap sealant. So this also off Amazon. This will be, we'll put some on the screws that go down into the top, just to make sure, and then we'll probably also do it along the outside of the flange. That way, just it's really locked in, watertight, so that we don't get any water coming in from our fan. So we got this fan. It's a pretty popular one out there that I've seen for these camper van builds, but it has an exhaust and an intake. So it can take in cool air, exhaust out cool or warm air. This is fairly reasonably priced for the fans, and it seems like some of the other ones have come with a remote or something like this. For this one, you kind of manually crank it up and things like that. But it's got a nice built-in kind of rain block thing, so that we really should be able to have it up if in fact it's raining. The fan has 10 speeds, which seems like a fair amount of speeds for a fan. So yeah, so now I'm gonna get into the installation. We've kind of identified where we want the fan. We're gonna put it on the back left side here, above the bed, just because that's probably where we're gonna need it the most. But yeah, so I'm gonna get going here, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so here's the area in which I'm going to be working. I'm gonna start probably, so right here is where that cross beam is inside the van. You can kind of see these little spots here. And I need for the interior, I guess it doesn't really matter. But I'm obviously not gonna cut into that, but I'm gonna go just a little ways back, maybe 2 inches. So I need to make sure there's space back here, because we're gonna put a light back behind it. Pretty darn close. Okay, so now that I have this, now I need to drill some holes down in through here into the corners, so that I have some places to go with my jigsaw here. All right, so I forgot to hit record when I was drilling the holes, but you can see how I just have one hole in each corner. Oop. I just used a 3/8 drill bit here. Probably would have used a corded one next time, because on these little grooves it was a little bit tougher to get through. But now I have some holes that I can just run. I can set my jigsaw in there, or the blade in there, and then cut right along the painter's tape here to that hole, and then turn it, and then go to this one. You can see I got a little bit of plastic coming through here. I took the bag from the Maxxair fan that it came in, and I taped it up underneath just to try to catch some of these metal. There's lots of little metal shards everywhere. And I'm hoping that maybe it will catch some of those, but it looks like I hit it here and kind of pulled it up. So I'm gonna go check on that. We'll see if it works, if it actually catches anything, and if it actually doesn't just fall when this whole thing falls out. So next step is to actually take the jigsaw and cut this hole in the top of our roof. All right, so as you could tell, I don't know what I was thinking about when I set up my camera on the top of the roof where I did, because as I was getting on that last stretch and things started to shake a little bit, the camera started to roll off of I started to slide off the back of the van, and I caught it. I reached across and grabbed just the very bottom of the tripod like a stinking ninja. So big win there, saved my camera from a 6-foot fall down to concrete. So big win there. But we got a hole. That's the other win. We got our hole. As you can see, here's that plastic that I was talking about to catch all the stuff that I had taped up under there. But I shredded it when I was drilling the holes, so I just put a piece of cardboard down there to try to catch some of that, the metal. There's lots and lots of little metal pieces everywhere. So the other thing I would highly recommend, which I didn't at the beginning, was to wear eye protection, because those things are kind of flying around everywhere. So get something on your eyes, get some earplugs, which I didn't do, the earplugs part, because that was really loud. In kind of echoing around. If you're outside, probably not as loud, but I'm in this garage. So the next step, which I'm not going to do tonight because it's about 11:30 at night and it's been a long day. So the next thing we'll do is install this flange here, which essentially just kind of sits down right in the hole, real nice like that. And then the fan goes on top of that. And that will be a wrap for the fan. So it's super exciting. Weird to have a big old hole in the something that we paid for like this to cut a big hole in the top, but this is really an exciting step, and that was fun. So Jigsaw worked really well, especially for the first time I have ever used it, and the blade worked really well too. It kind of cut through the roof like butter, which was pretty sweet. So next step is installing the fan. All right, so now we got our hole. What we need to do sorry, I got a bad knee, so it's kind of cramping up. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is use this Dicor Butyl Tape or Butyl Tape, Butyl, however you want to say it. And this, essentially, we're just gonna line up on the outside here, so that it can create a waterproof seal underneath the flange. Although I'm kind of looking at my placement of the hole and I'm not super happy with the amount of space I have on here. So this stuff, it's very pliable. It's really sticky. Another thing that we're gonna have to do is fill in, because it's got all these ridges here. So what I'm gonna do is kind of layer the butyl tape up on here so that it's nice and flush with the ridge. There are adapters I think you can buy on Amazon, and I kind of realized that a little bit after the fact, that will actually fit into these ridges. But we're gonna give this a go here just to see how that is. So I'm not sure exactly how to cut this apart, but I think I should just be able to use some scissors and just cut it, and then I'm gonna, there's a little backing on it that I'm gonna peel off.
And then I'm just gonna kind of place it down into this little rib here. Push it down nice and snug. Because you want it, when the flange sits on it, you want it to be able to push down on it so that there's no gaps. This might take me a little bit. So we got to drill some holes, pilot holes for the screws that came with the system. So we're going to drill those pilot holes now. I'm going to use that trusty drill bit kit that I grabbed. Hopefully we can find one that's the right size here. It's a 5. I'm going to go with this one maybe. All right, so we're gonna roll with a 5 30-second bit here. And we're just gonna drill right down through the roof. All right, so I got finished up the butyl tape. I'm like 91.8% positive I'm a little overkill, but it's possible that I didn't do this right. But based on what I've seen online, I think I have a pretty good setup here, considering what I got going on. So now I'm gonna go ahead and screw the flange down, and then we'll seal it. All right, so now I gotta kind of weasel this down into the hole because there is some butyl tape blocking it a little bit. So push down, it looks like I got quite a bit actually sticking out. So I'm gonna kind of peel some of this back under here. But you know what, I'm gonna put sealant over it anyways, so pretty sure it'll be okay. But I'm gonna peel a little bit of it back here. But I'll put the lap sealant around the outside here and fill in the rest of these ridges. Because you can kind of get under there a little bit, but it should fill in any remaining spots. Otherwise, I think that's pretty good. We'll see how these screws go through the butyl tape. I keep calling it beetle tape. So I'm just making sure that it's good. I'm hoping that it pulls down real nice. So it came with some screws. So in hindsight, I would have used a smaller drill bit when I drilled the pre-drill holes. I did a 5/32 bit. I probably would have done a 9/64 or an 1/8. The screws just didn't pull down as much as I would have liked to. All right, so the next step, we're gonna put the lap sealant. This I got this on, it's also Dicor. I got this on Amazon. The link is in the description for all the stuff that I used for this. This is what I've, at least the people that I've seen, this is what they've used. And essentially we're just gonna put it around the outside here. We're gonna make sure we cover up these screws. I have a few screws that kind of went in at a weird angle, so there's a little gap there, so it'll really just waterproof where those holes are going in. So we'll cover the screws, seal up all around here, and we'll pray that this one tube is enough because it's all I got. So the other tool I didn't mention at the beginning is you'll need a caulking gun for, you know, doing it like that. So, but before I do that, since we realized that we're doing all our work in the garage right now because it's been so cold, I realized that we won't be able to back our van out with the fan installed. So essentially once we install the fan permanently to the top here, we're stuck outside doing everything. So we still have some cold days coming up here in Minnesota, so we're not going to actually put the fan in and screw it in until we're ready to have the fan or to have the van outside all the time when we can work out there and it'll be reasonably reasonable temperatures and things like that. So but essentially I'll show you what you'll do because it won't be in this video. Essentially what you do is you get your wiring out there and you drop it into the hole like somehow it will fit on here in some way, shape, or form. So this is totally awesome. There we go. Okay. And then what you need to do is lift up the fan. And actually I can go do this so I can show you what that looks like. You need to have your fan lifted up all the way because that's how you can access the screw holes. So be right back. Okay, so I've lifted the fan up. It's just a little crank on the inside, but you'll see it exposes this hole right here and this hole right here. And there's one on each side. There's screws right in the bag that it comes with that you just screw right in there. And that's how you essentially are all done with the build. So I'm not going to be able to actually do that today for this video, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory to put 4 screws in. You can use a screwdriver. All right, so if you're super new to this, essentially what we need to do is cut off the tip of this at kind of an angle here so that we can get that sealant out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. We'll see how skilled I am at using this. I just used a little utility knife to snip off the tip, and now I got kind of an angle there. And that allows you to kind of go around and not just goob it on. So then on the inside, your caulking gun should, or if you haven't bought one yet, get one that has this little thing that comes out, because then you can use that and you shove it down in the hole and you poke a little hole in there because there's a little seal that's right there. So now I should be able to load this up in my caulking gun. And essentially how I'm doing this, if you've never done this before, is you slide it in from the back, get it locked in there, like so, and then push up the bottom into here. At least that's how this caulking gun works. I got a whole bunch all over my finger somehow. I don't know where that came from. But then you just use this ratcheting trigger here, and you kind of pull it until it starts coming out into the tube. There we go, and now we got it. Now we're rolling. All right, so I don't think we're winning Sealant Style of the Year award here. It looks a little rough, but I wanted to make sure I really loaded it into these areas, especially on this side, because the rain might pool up a little bit here. But covered up all those screws, and on the sides it went on a little cleaner. But for the most part, everything should be all sealed up. This seal does take some time to cure, so I'll probably give this at least 24 hours. But I got to read the can again before we really test this thing out. So this completes what we can do for now on the fan. It's all sealed up. All we have to do now is drop it in the hole, put those 4 screws in, and wire it up, and we should have a fan. So it's super cool. Can kind of almost check this thing off the list. All the hard parts. Found this video helpful. Give it a like. I'd love to make sure that I know that I'm continuing to put out videos that are helpful to you and your van build. Again, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, working on vans and things like that. So we're just out here trying to create a resource to help you along the way for anybody to be able to do this. So if I can do it, you certainly can too. Subscribe. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to see updates on the van build. We'll be putting those out as we kind of check off different projects. So stay tuned. It's about to get super exciting.